Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing Jane tag. So it's a fairly simple tag to do, but just a few elements. So this is the things I've used and I'll recap at the end of the video. Okay, so to start with, I've already painted my tag with black G-So Good and let it dry. I'm now going to give it a coat of Stroke of Midnight, a beautiful blue colour. It looks lovely over black. It gives it a bit of depth as well. So add a little bit of Stroke of Midnight to my mat, and I'll use a little bit of water to make it more runny. That's it, and then give it a quick coat over my tag. I don't have to be too precise about this. There we go. I've done this in vertical lines, and then I'm going to quickly heat set that, and then I'm going to go over again with some horizontal lines. And it gives like a crisscross pattern. It just gives a slightly extra texture to your tag. You can see it's drying really quickly. Okay, so when that's dry, we'll just go over again in a different direction just to get more sort of colour. So just going across that way. There we go. There we go. Okay, and that's the base colour done. That dries to beautiful blue. So I'll just take that out of the way to one side and let that dry while I clean my area up. Ready for my gold background. So I'm using gold luscious powders with the dotted circle dots from the collector's edition stamps. There we go. Okay, so that will need a little bit of drying off. This does need to be dry before you do the next stage. So I will dry it off with the heat gun. Just take on. It's a bit tedious to watch, I'm afraid, but it does need to be dry before we go on to the next stage. So we just need to, just those last few little bits. There we go. Okay, so by the time I've got my luscious dotted, that should be dry. Okay. So luscious powder, it's a beautiful gold luscious. So wet and paintbrush and dip it into the pot to pick up some colour and just make that on my mat. There's quite a lot there. So okay, and then I can add a little bit of water extra. I want this to be fairly thick because I'm going to actually paint my stamp. That's probably just about right there. Okay, so I'm using the circle dots. I've put them on the end of my Slim Jim, and then I'm going to carefully, very lightly, just paint the surface. There's a little bit too much there, so I'm just going to take that excess off with, that's it. So I don't want any puddles, I just want it to just lightly touch the surface. There we go, that's it. So I don't want it too heavy-handed, I just want the circles just to be just a little bit of gold showing through. There we go. Okay, and then stamp that. A little bit heavy, no one will tip it, never mind. Okay, keep going. And I've not re-inked the stamp. And that is about it. So You don't need any more than that, and then that's enough gold just to show through. And again, this has to be dry for the next stage. So I'll put my luscious powder away, but however, I still want to keep that on my brush. I'll just load my brush up and I'll keep it to one side, because the beautiful thing about luscious powders is, even if they're dry, you can re-wet them and reuse them. So I'll just wrap this underneath. So, and then I'll dry this area off. Just dry that off. There we go. Okay, so that's nice and dry, and then we're ready for the next stage, which is using super thick Slap It On and Unicorn Sparkle. So I've mixed those together, and I've already mixed them into a pot together. So I've got a lovely sparkly, it's white now, but it will dry clear. And we're using the Starburst stencil. As you can tell, mine is very well loved. So I'm going to put it just off centre, then flat onto my tag. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up some of the Unicorn Sparkle Slap It On mix and just spread it over the surface. And that's it. And lift. Beautiful. Oh, it's going to look stunning when it's dry. And then we'll leave that to dry for a minute. Okay. And just remove the excess off my stencil, and then I've got plenty to use again another time. And because I'm using Slap It On, it is important that I wash my stencil, because if I don't, it'll dry on there and it'll just block up the holes. So I'll just take off the excess of that one. As you can tell about the amount of Unicorn Sparkle still on here, I do like loving the stamp, this technique. And then just dry this off. And that's off for next time. Next time, just wipe that off. There we go. Okay, so while my Starburst is drying, we'll stamp Jane and the sentiment. And I've used the sentiment from Mindfulness 1. So I'll stamp this onto a good quality card using a black ink. Stamp that, because I'll be cutting out the words. Okay, so it doesn't have to be straight. And then I'm going to be stamping Jane as well. And I'll be cutting her out, so I'll give her a good image of Jane. And I'm going to heat set the image of Jane, because I'm going to put paint over the top of it and I don't want the paint to run. There we go. I'll stamp that. There we go. Lovely. Okay. So I'm just going to cut Jane out. And colour her in. And I was going to heat set her. Okay. And I'm going to give her a little bit of colour as well. So I'm using Indigo Portrait Acrylic Fair And I'm going to be using the Indigo Acrylic Rouge. In fact, I'm going to use tiny bits of paint, so I use it off the lid. And then I'm going to give her eyes a dose of Coastal Walk, just to give her a smidgen of blue. Okay, so pick up a little bit of the fair. There's a very runny mixture, so I'm going to add quite a lot of water. So I'm going to, that's it. Okay, so I just want a suggestion of colour. I don't want to give her a tan or anything. So just bring that up there. Okay, just keep the white of the eyes white, and then they'll stand out even further. There we go. Okay, simple as that. Give it a little bit of colour, and then a tiny bit for the rouge. Again, I can add a little bit of water onto that. And that's for her lips. A little bit on the cheeks. I'll do the lips first. A little bit more paint. There we go. And if you think you've been too heavy-handed, before it's dry, you can just just blot it, take the colour out, and I'll give you that suggestion. There we go. Take a little bit of that colour out again. There we go. Okay, and then a tiny bit with plenty of water, and I'll just colour her cheeks in. There we go. Give it a bit of shape to the face, and then the tiniest bit of blue and a tiny piece of water, tiny bit, and then literally just go over eye colour. There we go. And this just gives it a little bit of shading to her face, makes it slightly more interesting. So I'll just clear these away. And clean up. There we go. Right, so you've got that, and then the words I'm going to cut up with scissors. So I'm going to do 3. So it's a lovely saying. So it's don't change so people like you. And it's be yourself, and the right people will love the real you. So I think that's lovely. So because this technique doesn't have to be that straight, because we're going to edge each of these with the luscious. So, and long bladed scissors does help. Use them straight if you can. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up with the paintbrush. I've still got some luscious on, and it is still quite wet. It's just give it a nice border all the way around, and it doesn't have to be even. Just nice little border all the way around, like that. There we go. Okay. Let that dry, and it's exactly the same for your words. So you can see the edge around. It's a lovely little border all the way around, and that will just dry nicely. And if you've smudged it, don't worry, it's fine. If you really don't, stamp it again. But to be honest, I'm quite happy with that. That's fine. because if you, I'll smudge it somewhere else in a bit. Then it'll look like I meant to do it. So if you do a mistake, sometimes if you just do the same mistake somewhere else, then it looks like it's intentional. Okay, and then the last. Okay, and that's. Okay, and let that dirt dry. Again, paintbrush, keep the paint on there because you'll need that again in a minute. Okay. And what we're going to do is come back to our tag and you can see it's beginning to get clear and just the unicorn sparkles shine out. So it could do a little bit drier than that, so I'm just going to dry it a little bit. Just to get a little bit drier. It's not quite there, but it's not far off. So that's it. And then back to our paintbrush, and then put that there. And you need a little bit more water. So that tiny bit of Luscious has done the background, edged my embellishments, and is now edging, making a lovely border to the tag as well. So just careful where you put your fingers if it's not quite dry. So, and that's the background of your tag complete. So I'll put that out of the way. Just take that off. And then it's putting the tag together. So Jane isn't quite dry, so we'll dry her off. And Jane and the words as well. So if you're drying and you find it curls up like that, turn it over. Oops. Turn it over and then do it on the back and it flattens back out again. So she got a little smudged under her eye, but I think that looks cool, so that's good. So we're doing that one, and then do these as well. Luscious gives a lovely gold, just a gold hit. It's beautiful. Nice and shiny. Right, okay. And then we're going to glue into place. So I'm going to use a hot glue gun for Jane herself, and it just raises slightly out, so just a little bit of glue around the outside, and then stick that in the middle. That's it. Take the excess off my fingers, and then just directly. I think that's straight. There we go. Okay, that's Jane down there. And I'll use the same glue for. So you want, so you've got, so you don't change so people like you at the top, and then directly underneath Jane herself, you know, be yourself, and the right, and at the bottom, people will love the real you. Oh, that's a lovely saying. There we go. That goes on there. And then just to finish her off, I'll give her a little bit of ribbon at the top just for a tag. Just be careful because some of this isn't quite dry yet. Oops. That's it. Pull that through. And give it a tie. And a trim. And that's Jane complete and nearly dry. Okay, so I'll give you what we made with her to finish with here. Okay, and I hope you enjoyed my tag, and thank you for watching.